Well, that's really good. I'm glad to hear that because we here at Harambee, we sort of believe in the same way that we are black-owned and operated, and we have to keep it real. We don't believe in dealing with commercial sponsors that don't act and think consciously the way we do. We would rather not do business if we have to sell out or have to discern the information. We come on and tell what we think needs to be told, and we don't really care who on the outside like or don't like it. We just believe in love of our people should dictate our behavior, and that love should mean that we're going to come on constantly with information we think is uplifting, and it may not be what, everybody wants to tell their children. It may not be what white folks want to hear, and we're just glad to have a station that we can get brothers like you on to call the man Whitey, because they
and pardon me real quick as I give a cyber libation to our ancestors, those that came before us, and those that will be coming after us, and getting back to what you're doing, and I highly commend the work that Harambee is doing. It's just so important, and it just shows the power that the use of the internet can be. The more that we get in, well, we're living in an age basically where it's about people wanting to get more knowledge, and an outlet such as yours is just so ideal because people can tune in and hear things they might not ever hear. We definitely won't hear stuff like this on High 97 out here or 105.1 out here. And this is so key because the internet does allow us to have that global presence from websites to radio to TVs, which is on the horizon.
Yeah, well, we have a good nucleus of people like yourself and others, and Brother Keedy out on the West Coast. I see where you have done some stuff with him, and I've been out there and have had the pleasure of hanging out with Brother Keedy and Jamal and Sister Halima. And these are people around the country like that, Brother Jakuma, Brother Blake, that own black radio stations up and down the East Coast. It's nice to know that we have a circle that we can revolve around in, that we can pass information on, pass MP3 files around, that we're not in competition. We're actually together. We're using each other's shows. We're looking at this as a network. Like when you hear Harambee Radio Network, that's what we're doing. We're networking with everyone, trying to make sure that if you need something, if there's a subject matter or a profession that you have some ideas or some needs about, you can call me up and say, Delani, I noticed y'all got a guy that's on Harambee that does certain things. You think you can give me his number? Maybe I can call him up. That's what it's all about. This is not like entertainment. This is about education, and we have to be very careful of how we use this medium, because if it turns into any other station, then we really don't have much to go on. That's why it's kind of, it's when you're in the driver's seat, people think that you're uppity and you don't like to do this. Like I don't allow any Christianity on Harambee. There's no gospel preaching because there's 1,000 places you can go to get that. Why am I going to set up something where I'm going to give you what they're giving you? So I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings when they say, well, I wanted to bring this person on or talk about that. I just cut across the board. I don't want to be doing those scriptures. That's
right.
just it.
Word. And that's the thing. I mean, there needs to be an alternative, and that's what I like to say that what we do. We provide alternative thinking. We're against the norm as far as, your traditional, only way you can get to learn something is if you're talking about Jesus or something like that. It's like, our history, we try to deal with it from a real point, a point that people are afraid to go to when it comes to talking about the origin of things or the relativity of things. We live in 2005, and people are still afraid to bring up racism and even interracism within ourselves and talk about not just it's a black and white thing, but let's get to the root of the problem. I mean, there's no preacher out here that's going to really talk about the root of the problem, because if that was the case, he wouldn't be preaching from Christianity. He'd be preaching from something that was African.
Right.
So it's definitely ideal that, the platform that you have set up, the things that we're trying to do and the things that we're trying to, link up with other cats to do is important, because really we serve as an inspiration. I'm hoping to believe that we serve as an inspiration, but more so a challenge for those people to not just sit there and listen to what we're doing. It don't take much to start your own magazine. It don't take much to start your own radio station and start talking about something that's really real.
Yeah, well, I think, too, it's important to understand that we're at a critical time, and I know there may be people saying, man, we've always been at critical times. But I really do believe that we have a collection of people on the planet now that if we don't get some serious work done and we let another generation go by, we may not ever recover what little grounds we made by having the Internet or having magazines, because there was a time when, even now, you can't really go too many places and say what you want to say or write what you want to write without some editor or somebody watering it down. So if we are in a position where we can get this information out in its entirety, not watered down, we have to put our foot on the accelerator while we can, because you never know what the future may hold. And if we didn't get it done now, we would look back at some point in the future and say, there was once upon a time we could have jumped out here and educated everybody, but we sat around and talked about it and nobody made a move.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that I deal with every day with myself. It's a personal challenge for myself to make sure that I do something in addition to what our elders have done. No disrespect to our elders that have written the many books and done the hours upon hours of lectures, but now it's time to manifest that, turn that into something that is tangible, something that is physical. So one of the things that I don't want to end up, if I were to ever be remembered, is not to be remembered as someone that spoke, words and this and that, but someone that created something, that manifested something from those words into the physical realm. And that, to me, is so ideal that, not only is it good to talk about, red, black, and green, but it's also how can we use the green, to create some more things for us to get us free from land ownership to businesses, entrepreneurship, all these different things. And smart businesses, not, barbershops and chicken shacks, but something that is going to be something that you can air down to your children's children. And that's something that I'm myself doing the research and trying to apply the example of, and hopefully be in that position where I can start hiring people and putting us in a better position to where we can feel good about going to work for ourselves instead of having to get up and go to the plantation.
Well, if you had been listening the past 2-3 hours, that's all we talked about that a lot, because I've been out here a long time as a entrepreneur and a business person. So my train of thought has always been to have your own, train your own, hire your own, and that kind of thing. And until we start all thinking like that, it's going to be hard for the next generation to see by example, because all they ever see is the slave mentality, where we actually just go out here and we uphold the system of other people without any regard for us having a system or the want of a system. I mean, it seems like to me that we are more comfortable thinking that somebody is supposed to take care of us and provide the jobs. And I had a brother, Charles Mitchell, on my show from New York, and he had, I think, 4 brothers that were graduating from high school up in the Bronx area. And they basically said that that's what the parents had taught them to, get a high school diploma and then go apply yourself out here. And if that's all you have that you bring to the table, you're going to be in big trouble. And see, we have too much skill and talent to depend on another group of people. I mean, black people are the most resourceful people that have ever been on planet Earth, because we shouldn't even be here.
Right.
Now, the fact that we're still here should motivate us and say, okay, well, whatever your spiritual source has made it possible for your relatives to have survived this whole journey, and we are the remnants of that today, then we're on the place where we should be. And we could make a move right now, but we're still waiting. We still think that something's going to come. Some leader, somebody's going to show up with the game plan. And like you said earlier, it's in all of us. We don't need a savior or a leader to show up with the orders when we are so creative that we're like cockroaches, man. We will be here when no one else is. But we have to get moving.
True that, and that's something in a couple articles, issues I wrote about. I tried to use the analogy of what the professional sports use, the amount of pressure that they apply on a coach. In the 70s or even before, a little bit before, 80s and 70s and on back, coaches had jobs for 25 years, and they didn't have to worry about ever losing their job. And now, ever since the free agent market has opened, coaches are getting hired and fired within the same season. And I think that same method or that same strategy should be applied to our alleged self-appointed leaders. You know, because it's basically, you know, we need to put them under a watch.